Hi folks, welcome to Brew and Build. This week I'm going to be brewing a Doppelbock. Now a Doppelbock is a German beer that was first brewed by Bavarian monks to supplement their low-calorie diet. The idea being that a high-calorie beer would offset a relatively low-calorie vegetarian diet. They achieved that by increasing the original gravity of their beer, and it became colloquially known as a double bock or Doppelbock. There's not many monastic Doppelbocks left, but there are some fantastic examples of this style, such as Ayinger Celebrator, Paulina Salvator, and Stefana Corbinian. The colour range on Doppelbocks is quite broad, anywhere from 6 to 25 SRM, depending on the malts used. The alcohol range for a Doppelbock should be from around 7% up to 10%. However, there's not really an upper limit, and there are a number of commercial examples that fall well outside those numbers. The malts that are normally used are Pilsner, Vienna, Munich, and sometimes a small amount of darker malts such as chocolate. You'll also find some caramel and melanoidin notes in a Doppelbock, but these should come from a decoction mash and perhaps a long boil, and not from crystal malts. As far as hops goes, it should be only lightly hopped, and it should generally be noble hops or similar variety. We're looking for a sweet finish in this beer, and that comes from a low hop bitterness and not low attenuation. So for my recipe today, I'm going to try and hit the lower end of the gravity range, and in fact I'm going to follow the Ayinger Celebrator example, and I'm going to look to get around 6.7% alcohol. To be fair, that's quite low and falls outside the low side of the style guidelines, but the Ayinger Celebrator is still a very good beer. To get that gravity, I'm going to start with 5 kilograms of best Munich malt, and that's going to give me a deep copper coloured beer with sweet malty flavours of toasted bread. To increase the toast flavours, I'm going to add 1 kilogram of dark Munich, and that should help to up the richness to counter the original gravity being slightly low. Along the same reasoning, I'm going to give it a little deeper flavour with 100 grams of Carafa Special 1. And that should give it some depth, but not actually be detectable as chocolate. The mash on this will be at 67 degrees Celsius or 152 Fahrenheit for 60 minutes. During the mash though, I'm going to remove around half the grains for a decoction. And then those decocted grains will get held for 15 minutes at 71 degrees Celsius or 160 Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. And that's for an alpha amylase rest. Those grains will then be boiled for 15 minutes before being reincorporated with the mash. The boil for this then will be a 60-minute boil, although a longer boil would bring out more caramel notes if that's what you're after in it. During the boil, I'll be using 24 grams of Northern Brewer hops at 60 minutes, and that'll give 21.5 IBU. I'll then add 18 grams of Tettnang at 10 minutes to go to give an IBU of 2.5, and that'll bring the total IBU up to around 24. The water profile on a Doppelbock should be quite soft. So I'm using just a light and balanced water profile. Lastly, the yeast I'm going to use is White Labs German X Lager, and that's WLP 835. So that's enough of that. Let's head out to the shed and we'll start milling down all of this grain. Well, it's a lovely evening tonight, and we're going to be eating outside tonight. So I fired up the potbelly stove just to heat the meal up. But while I'm waiting for that to heat up, I thought it's a great opportunity just to do a quick tasting of this Doppelbock. So let's get it open. It looks good. It's a beautiful deep copper coloured beer. The carafa in it has darkened it down a little bit. It's put a really nice copper hint to it. It's got good foam on the top, and it smells, strangely enough, like a Doppelbock. It smells great. It's really malty, really rich, like you'd expect from any sort of Doppelbock. You can really smell that Munich coming through there, and you can smell the dark Munich. Actually, you can smell that real dark toast. Let's see what it tastes like. Really nice. It's sweet. There's that bread taste that you would really expect, that toasted bread. I was expecting a little bit more like burnt toast from that dark Munich, if I'm honest. So that's not come through quite as strongly as I was expecting. It's maybe slightly undercarbonated as well. You could do with another 0.2 or so, 0.3 volumes of CO2 in there, I think. It's not bad. It's not a bad Doppelbock. It's not perfect. I think I'd like that to be a little bit stronger. If I was to do that again, I'd definitely put a little bit more malt in there. I'd bring that up to certainly the 7% mark. And I'd increase the percentage of dark Munich, I think, as well. If I'm going to go that light, down towards the 7% mark, I think when I try that again, I will probably change out the carafa for chocolate malt, a decent dark chocolate malt, and really get that dark bite, bitter bite from the chocolate malt to come through, and just give it a bit more depth. But other than that, I'd certainly score that 7.5 for a Doppelbock. I think I can definitely do better, but for a first attempt at this light version, that's not bad at all. So while I'm waiting for this to fire up, which it looks pretty good now, I'm going to just continue this, then I'll go inside, get the dinner on. Till then, life's good, drink more beer.